Even if you're not an avid follower of Spanish Segunda B, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, to be honest with you, some of you long-time viewers might recognise the name Union Adarve. Now, the last time I saw these guys was up at the Polideportivo Vicente del Bosque, and I told you that this was a club formed in 1992 in one of Madrid's northernmost barrios, in the Barrio del Pilar, originally as a football school for youngsters to play and develop their skills. I told you that last season was their first ever year in the Spanish Segunda B. I told you that never in their wildest dreams did they think they would ever make it to this level, and I told you that their recent success was basically down to them being well run off the field and them being a part-time club adopting a professional approach on the field. 18 months down the line, I'm back to see how they're getting on. Let's get inside. Okay, so I'm going to be totally honest with you. Before the start of last season, I wasn't especially interested in the Spanish lower leagues, and I hadn't even heard of Union Adarve, but I quickly established a soft spot for them, and I know I'm not alone in that. Now, this is a club that has stayed true to its community roots throughout its rise up the league table, which is something that's not always been easy. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But at the same time, it's a club that's very welcoming to new followers and to new fans, helped by their social media game, which is pretty strong. They're very dynamic, very interactive, and very creative. But there have been plenty of changes as well. Now, the biggest one and the most visible one is the ground. Their success has seen them outgrow not one but two stadiums that have been not suitable for Segunda B football. Now, the first one was their spiritual home, the Barrera de Garabanes, and the second was the bizarrely iconic Vicente del Bosque, which you might remember as being situated at the foot of the Cuatro Torres, the four towers at the heart of Madrid's business district. Now, they've been forced to move across town to this ground, the Estadio García de la Mata, which is only 7 kilometres away from the Barrio del Pilar. Not that far really, but this is a club, as I said, that's deeply rooted in the local barrio, in the local community. The majority of the fans are from there, and I don't care what anyone says, jumping on a train or a metro to come to a game is not the same as just walking along from your house and stopping off at a bar for breakfast on the way. But the good news is that they should be back home before long, as the local council are due to build a new sports complex in the Barrio del Pilar, which will include a football ground, and Union Adarve are expected to move in 2 to 3 years time, hopefully have established themselves as a Segunda B team. That is the big question though, will they stay in the Segunda B this season? They secured their spot in the league with games to spare last season under Victor Ter, their former coach, who was very highly rated. He was a huge part of their success during the 4 years that he was here. He left the club in the summer, and they're now already on to their second manager. They've had a pretty turbulent season. They won only one of their first 7 matches. They're now on a run of only 1 win in 11 games, which leaves them in 17th place in the table, the last relegation spot. They're 2 points from safety, although they have only lost 2 of their 11 home matches, so that might give them a chance of turning their form around today. Who remembers Unión Deportiva Salamanca? Well, older fans might remember them playing in La Liga in the 70s, 80s and most recently in the 90s. Now, today's opponents for Unión Adarve are one of 2 clubs that are a reincarnation of the original Salamanca. Now, this is a really fascinating story, and I'm going to save this for another day and another video, because I'm definitely going to go along to Salamanca and check it out and explain it in a bit more detail. But anyway, this club have just come up from Tercera. They're not doing especially well, despite having several players who have experience of playing at higher levels. They're 15th in the table, they're 2 points ahead of Union Adarve, although a win today could take them into the top 10. Now, they have improved a bit recently after a slow start to the season. There are 4 games unbeaten away from home, and they've won the last 2. Now, it is a lovely little setup here with a little bar in the corner, and here we've got kind of the food stall. Now, I wanted to draw your attention to the montados, the little sandwiches, which are interestingly named. So we've got the Mourinho, which is atún tuna, which seems quite apt. I don't like tuna. Anyone's guess as to why the lomo, the pork, is called sharapova. And I think Makélélé has got quite well off there. Salchichon, which is kind of like a big Iberian spicy sausage. Now, this ground, the García de la Mata, is actually owned by Madrid City Council, which means that there are various teams who play there. There are a few that play here in lower divisions. So you can basically come here, sit on this terrace, get the beers in, watch 3 or 4 matches in an afternoon. What a life. This is not Preferent, this is not Tercera. You can tell it's a big game. And you've got all the radio guys here. Got a lot of competition today. Now, just had a red card for Salamanca. We must be 10 minutes into the game. Not sure why. Looked like an off-the-ball clash. So Unio and Adarve player down. Must have been an elbow or something. Salamanca down to 10. Cheeky. Right, here we go. No, here we don't go. Well, they might only have 10 men, but Salamanca definitely looking a bit more threatening so far. Has to be a foul. Has to be a foul. We go finish. Well, that is by far the clearest chance Unio and Adarve have had, or either team have had. Right, 0-0 half time. Quite an intriguing first half. I was expecting the red card to kind of spoil it a little bit, but to be honest, I think Salamanca actually did really well after going down to 10 men. They were knocking it about quite nicely. Definitely looked more threatening for the first half an hour or so. Adarve were kind of struggling to put together any threatening attacking moves, but they definitely picked things up in the last 15 minutes, and they should really have taken the lead when they had that opportunity just at the back post. Now, last season when Adarve were playing at the Vicente del Bosque, entry was free, and those of you who watched the video that I did from there will have seen that the concrete stand that they had was absolutely packed to the rafters. Now, the stadium here is also pretty full, as you'll have seen. There's a massive queue up at the bar as well. Now, entry here is 10 or 15 euros, I think it depends on the game, which, you know, is not that cheap, but the club have offered season tickets for 50 euros, which I think is great value. So 50 euros for 19 home matches. My maths isn't very good, but you can work that out yourselves. Okay, so it's been a slow start to the second half for me, but it's a fast start from Adarve. Just smashed one off the crossbar. What an unbelievable save. One for the camera. What a ridiculous start to the second half so far. Action packed. There it goes, straight in. Nobody touched it. Going wild in the stands. As I mentioned earlier, I do have a soft spot for Adarve, but I kind of wanted to see these guys score just to hear the noise that we're going to make. I think I just caught the tail end of that. That was inches away from being an absolutely amazing second goal. Oh, you've got to bury that. You've got to finish that. That would have been game over. Because literally 2 or 3 minutes to go. Red card for Adarve. Might kill off their hopes. Not too sure what it was for. Maybe a stamp? Nobody really knows. Action-packed second half, loads of flashpoints in there, some absolutely brilliant saves from the Adarve keeper, which kept his team in it, but it wasn't to be. The free kick was obviously crept into the back post, 1-0 to Salamanca, and I don't think there could be any doubts that they deserve to win this game. They managed the game really well with 10 men, and their fans, as you can hear behind me, are absolutely loving the experience. So you Garcia de la Mata, definitely recommend coming here. If you get a half decent number of fans in here, they're going to make a lot of noise, which hopefully has come across on this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please remember to subscribe on YouTube and get following on Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram. and I'll see you guys again soon for the next video.